If you're getting pain indicators, that's your body saying it wants something. So if we don't respond to it, it's going to keep yapping at us.
Welcome to It's Time to Be You, the podcast that helps you trust yourself, stop getting in your own way, and create a life that feels authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling. I'm your host, Ariel Vaughn. Have you ever noticed that when you're stressed, overwhelmed, or constantly putting everyone else first, your body just seems to feel it too? Maybe you push through when you're exhausted, you say yes when you really want to say no, you carry stress in your shoulders, tension, your jaw, or a knot in your stomach, convincing yourself you'll deal with it later. We're often so focused on everyone else and just keeping up with life that we stop listening to ourselves. In today's conversation, I'm joined by health coach and pain management specialist, Caryn Ranney. We talk about how our bodies often communicate what we've been trying to ignore, why stress and emotions can show up as physical pain, and how learning to check in with yourself can be one of the most powerful forms of self-care. Whether you're dealing with chronic pain or simply feeling the weight of stress, I think you'll walk away with a new perspective on what your body might be trying to tell you. So let's get into it. Caryn, thank you so much for joining us today. Will you just let us know a little bit more about who you are?
So I own Ranney Health Coaching and Training, and I have been in the wellness industry for over 10 years now. Within my practice now for personal training, I specialize in pain management. So I work to educate people about the lifestyle things that they can do to manage or even treat their pain, specifically like the personal training side of things, like what muscle do we need to loosen and release and lengthen? What muscle or area of muscle do we need to work because it's been underworked and maybe even isn't as active anymore? And then the third piece being the lifestyle considerations. What is leading up to this? Usually it's postural, like, or how do I sleep? How do I sit? Just the things that we don't think about. The other side is I do health coaching, which aims to help people navigate their own health behavior change. It really tries to initiate a person's own autonomy and help them explore and discover how they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can make suggestions, but ultimately the best suggestions or the best solutions tend to come from the person.
Yeah, I love that. And how did you even get into, focusing on pain management specifically?
Good question. Well, so I was a personal trainer for a number of years. I became that and I got certified for that in college. And as I worked with people, it just became painfully obvious to me that if someone is injured, then it's going to hamper their ability to participate in personal training, which then is going to hinder their overall goal. And I
Yeah.
did find it like many people, I mean, injuries are a common part of our everyday life or even just chronic
Mm.
pain from sitting all the time or repetitive movements and things like that. So I had realized that, and then my next job took me to a fitness club in Chicago, and that's whenever they did some trainings. What was it called? I am blanking on what it was called, but it was more like of a progressive mindset about exercise and how the body moves. It looks at body movement in 3D
Oh,
versus like just like more singular motion,
yeah.
functional movement, and they really honed in on pain and like if someone's seeing limited movement efficiency, how you can use myofascial release or
Mm.
mobilizing techniques to
Yeah.
immediately improve movement efficiency so that a person is moving better throughout their movement session.
Yeah. And I'm curious because pain management is not something that I have had to think about. Like, I'm very fortunate to not have had to deal with that. But then
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking of like, I feel like a lot of people in pain, like the first kind of step is just like, I'm just going to take some meds for it and like hopefully recover. So, like, at what point do people really come to you to kind of recognize like, this is something that I really do need to work through and focus and not just pop some pills and rest?
That's a very good question because you're correct. A lot like in the way that the medical field oftentimes treats it, you go to physical therapy, but they're limited by insurance. You often only get
Yeah.
like 5 sessions, and then otherwise it's like let's just put a band-aid on it by giving you pain meds, which don't treat the root cause.
Yeah.
So that's the question. How do people end up with me? I mean, now that I have this referral network with a physician in a weight loss clinic, that's been really helpful because a lot of folks in that scenario have pain. So that's a
Mm.
direct referral network. Otherwise, I could partner with various medical providers in the community just to get my name out there. Otherwise, just my website. But most people are going to find me through referrals or someone else telling them that this was really helpful for them.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, with pain and especially chronic pain, a lot of people do end up in that mindset of this is just how life is now,
Mm-hmm.
or this is just happens when you get older,
Yeah.
which I that pain is a built-in thing in life, not to be morbid or whatever, but it's kind of like maintaining your vehicle. A
Yeah.
pain signal be telling us that we need some kind of maintenance.
Right. Yeah, and so a couple of things, that you've made me think about is one with chronic pain, what is something that people typically misunderstand when it comes to chronic pain?
I mean, that it can't be treated through lifestyle methods, I would say. I think that people don't realize the impacts that just general body movement can have.
Yeah.
Like, this sounds like such a simple thing to say, but it's like if we sit for a long time and we get stiff, of course we get stiff because our muscles are standing still. They're not doing anything. So of course
Yeah.
the tissue is going to get stiff.
Yeah.
Right? So then it's like, okay, how do we counteract that? By moving. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be like going and running a marathon, even just general mobilizers can be helpful.
Right.
So just dialing out from that, if just sitting still can have that much of an impact on your muscles, imagine what happens when they're stuck in that for a long time. They eventually don't move as well. That's when we
Mm-hmm.
see the body adapting to not moving,
Yeah.
becomes less able to move.
Yeah, it just kind of makes me think of, a lot of times I'll say like choose your hard because, with kind of thinking about, yes, like when you're sitting all day and like not moving a lot, then, you get stiff. And then I'm sure like it's more painful as you do start to move your body. And then it's like, I'm in pain if I don't move my body, but then I'm in pain if I do move my body. But then it's like, as you start to move your body more, I'm sure you'll kind of be in less pain. So it's kind of like choosing which one do you want to like kind of focus on first.
Yeah. But of course, it can be scary if a person is then like, if I move, then I'm in pain. So what do I do? That's whenever a person should kind of seek out a service like what I have, because it helps
Yeah.
to inform like what are the specific movements or release techniques that will help you be not in pain so that you can progress. So eventually your pain is, your movement is not as limited. You don't have to be as specific about how you do it.
Right. Yeah. And
But I,
then,
yeah.
and we talked about with you being like with people just kind of like being stiff and that can lead to pain. What are some other things that can be like a root cause of pain in the body?
Good question. So I refer to the biopsychosocial model of pain a lot, which is again something people don't necessarily consider. And so what this model says is that pain can come from three sources. So bio would be biological. This would be like what I work on with people in personal training. Like I have a movement deficiency that's come from maybe my knees fallen when I squat or things like that.
Mm,
It's physical side of things. So
yeah.
biopsychological, psycho is going to be the psychological side of things. So our pain can actually come from even our mental health.
Mm,
Like, for example, when we're stressed, we might actually, our physical body might then kind of clam up and hold itself in a certain way. That can,
yeah.
like, after a prolonged time, that can lead to then pain. And then the third one being sociological. So that is saying that pain can come from our social or societal structures. For example,
Mhm.
people that face more prejudice in life tend to experience more pain.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just kind of curious. Like, I mean, that's not a term that I had heard of before I met you. Is that something that you kind of knew about before you really got into pain management, or was that, what's your experience with that?
So I actually didn't learn about this until my master's program, which was about integrative wellness. So
Yeah.
that was looking about all the other things that can impact our health and wellness, our societal structures, our social networks, our emotional health, things like that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
And then how does that play a part into how you work with clients and what people should kind of know about, just what's going on with their body, especially like with the mental health and the stress and society, especially now.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does it play into how I work with people? Good
Mhm.
question. So let's say that I'm working with a person for pain management, but they're working with me for personal training. So that's more of the physical focus. However, I will still talk to people if they've been in pain for years. I will talk to them about this model and just have them consider like how much do I notice any trends around if I'm stressed? Do I feel like I am in more pain? Notice trends around it and consider does my emotional health play into this? What things are playing into it outside of just specific movements?
Yeah.
Uh, Another piece that I work with people on is just creating body awareness. So we talk about like mindfulness of being like mindfulness of mind. I am aware of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and I check in with that. But there's also mindfulness of your body.
Yeah.
Checking in, am I hungry? Am I full? And
Mhm.
do I feel pressure in my chest? Are my shoulders tight? So just checking in with the body's indicators that something is going on.
Mhm.
Sometimes we can even be in pain because we're ignoring those cues for
Yeah.
various reasons. But let's say if someone I've been working with them and we're making good progress in regards to pain, but it's still kind of lingering, and we're noticing that there is a trend where on days that I'm more stressed, I experience more pain.
Mhm.
Then I focus to more of the health coaching mindset, or I put on my health coaching hat to
Yeah.
ask them how they can then manage stress.
Yeah.
That's then the root of it.
It's so interesting how connected our body and our mind are, but also, I guess, in a way, like how separate we keep them as well. We don't, like, we're aware of our body, but we don't always check in and ask ourselves those questions about, like, am I actually hungry? Like, how am I actually feeling in my body and how that plays a part. So, I'm curious of, especially when you do kind of work with your clients on more of the like mindset and kind of like intuitiveness, are they open to it or they're like, I came to talk to you about my body. Like, I don't, my mind and my stress is not a part of it. Just I'm in pain.
It really depends. I mean,
Yeah.
people are so diverse. Get people on both sides. I of course, HIPAA info. I can't like exclude like present any info, but
Of course.
one of my newest clients is like an energy healer. So
Yeah.
that he like specializes in. So sometimes people are really open to it. Other times people aren't as open to it. But then it's like, well, have they just never heard this from somebody before? Like
Yeah.
what I've experienced a lot of like medical providers, it's not from any lack or anything. And they also have very limited time to work with people, but many of them aren't talking about this either. So where would we
Mhm.
ever hear it if
Right.
we're not being talked to about it? So I find that people are pretty open to it, and especially like biopsychosocial, that's such a scientific word, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Legit, if you look it up, it is there. And of course, just if you're working with a person, you of course want to kind of pay attention to how much rapport you feel like you've built with the person. If it
Mhm.
doesn't they trust you too much yet, then you don't necessarily want to throw out something that is just unheard of. You just want to organically pay attention to their cues and what
Right.
they're maybe open to or not open to. And if someone's not open to it, I'm not going to keep harping on it unless it keeps coming up,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like meeting, your clients where they are, and there is this educational piece to it because people aren't familiar with it. But then as they're like working with you and trusting you, and then it's like, oh, okay, like there's some stuff about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say what builds the most trust, at least within pain management, is I do like a test retest for people.
Hmm.
So we'll do like a movement that I saw something going on. Again, I'll go, let's say the knees are falling in, and that could
Mm-hmm.
be knee pain and back pain, right? So we test the technique and then we retest it. I'm looking at, do I see that movement efficiency is improved and does the person feel a difference? And I feel like
Mhm.
that's really important because how often do we already don't necessarily check in with ourselves, but then pain can be something that you just get used to. So
Mhm.
I guess what I'm trying to emphasize is the check-in process of like reassessing, did this work?
Yeah.
Because it can be kind of subtle.
Right.
Might not know if it worked until you kind of try it out and you actually hone in on it and pay attention to it instead of just like pushing through like we're often encouraged to do in life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like so often it's like we do something and we just push through or there might be a change, but we're just like, okay, on to the next one and don't actually take time to really see the progress that we've made. And
Mm.
then with thinking about pushing through, I'm curious of how does someone kind of find that balance before like, I'm experiencing pain, but I'm used to being like really active and like how do you know when you're supposed to go uh like keep pushing through the pain versus like we need to do something else that you can actually get better to then like move forward again.
Like, how do you know when to balance it?
Yeah. And what does
I
that
mean,
look like?
actually, if you're getting pain indicators, that's your body saying it wants something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we don't respond to it, it's going to keep yapping at us. It's going to keep asking for it. It's just like if you're stressed about something and you don't approach that or do something to recognize it's going on, it's going to show up like in the middle of the night. It's going to wake you up, something like that. So it is kind of hard to balance because everyone has life's demands.
Right?
But I suppose it's considering how you can start to prioritize yourself. Not to say we put off everything else, but at the same time, we can't really feed others and support others and do all the things that we need to do if our own cup is empty.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And do you ever experience, because, it's interesting, I feel like, especially as me and my friends are like starting to get older and it's like we're just kind of like in more pain from doing like the simplest things. And I know people have needed to stop or take a step back from being so active, but then they feel just like this thing that they really enjoyed, they can no longer do. And so, I mean, do you work with some people that, used to be really active and now like they just can't and they'll never be able to be like as active? Like, how do you help with them with kind of like their mindset and like realizing like this new reality of theirs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I do like those are my ideal clients. The
Yeah.
And it's really sad 'cause it used to be something that was it was a stress management for them. It helped them with
Mm.
their stress, like
Yeah.
run, say, but then eventually they're in pain, so they can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So how I would work with that kind of person, of course, like movement posture analysis, and then start to like find the techniques that relieve their pain. And then
Mm-hmm.
that pain slowly starts to reduce, then you regain trust in your body to 'cause there is that trust piece.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of finding where the starting spot is that allows them to move and, like, release whatever muscles we're working on to
Mm-hmm.
release stress, and then you just move them up from there.
Yeah. I'm curious about like that trust part of, like trusting your body and trusting yourself. Like, where do you think most people kind of get stuck with that?
So, yeah, I actually wanted to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So, another little I'll kinda talk about the trust piece in a little bit, but
Yeah.
another kind of piece to this biopsychosocial model of pain is that there's actually no, like, physical indicator. There's nothing in our bloodstream, nothing that we can measure that tells us how much pain we're actually in. It
Yeah.
comes from our own perception of how much pain we're in. So, in
Mm-hmm.
other words, I stub my toe, and then it's processed through our neurosystem.
Yeah.
From there, our brain is gonna decide, like, is this a warning? Is this bad or is it good? So in other
Mm,
words, our brain is the thing that's determining if it's bad or not. And
right.
something that can be false.
Yeah.
For example, especially if we have a history, like if I lunge, then my knees hurt. Then if I even try to go lunge, then my brain might tell me that it is going to hurt before it even
Mm,
does.
yeah.
So it's not to say that the pain is fake, but our body can set up this faulty alarm system.
Right.
So from there, regaining trust is, for one, knowing that this is a thing and
Hmm.
understanding that our body is on guard.
Yeah.
So again, finding the small ways that we can start to move and then we don't feel pain, but then also like just soothing ourselves, telling
Hmm.
ourselves it's okay. There is actually a podcast specifically on this. It's about the like, how do we soothe ourselves?
Hmm.
Like if we're anxious about something, but it's not actually happened yet,
Yeah.
how do we soothe that anxiety about something that hasn't happened yet?
Yeah.
Specific to each person, right?
Yeah. That totally makes sense. And it's something like I haven't really thought of before. Like, of course, I experienced that with my anxiety. And I know that our minds are always trying to protect us. And if we perceive something as it might be a threat, we've got to do whatever to protect ourselves. I never really thought about us doing that for our physical bodies. I just kind of thought about it mentally or what actions I need to take. So it makes a lot of sense. It's just something that I've never thought about before that your mind is like, we got to protect your body too. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want that pain again.
Yeah. Isn't it so interesting?
Yeah.
Like learning that your brain isn't always accurate either.
Right.
Just, but yeah, we could keep going. We could dive into it. It's so interesting. I would say the long story short of it is learning how to check in with yourself,
Hmm.
yeah, both mentally and physically. Cause sometimes even just our body will get tense from just not checking in with it. So then all this stuff gets just bottled
Hmm.
into us. And
Yeah.
once it is over full, it will spill over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of mentioned a few ways earlier, but what are some ways that you like to recommend for people to like really check in with their bodies?
Oh, yeah. Meditation is so powerful,
Mm,
and there are numerous different ways to meditate. That's
yeah.
not just, I think the one that people tend to think of is like checking in with your senses.
Mm-hmm.
But you can be mindful of your mind. You can just consider what thoughts you're having, try not to judge them, and then just be aware of them. Recognize what you're thinking and then move on to the next thought. You're just observing, right? To that
Yeah.
observation. That would be a good way to kind of build observation of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is body scan. So you're paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to what every piece of your body feels, but you're scanning from one specific spot to another.
Yeah.
Um, there's another one that's called progressive muscle relaxation. Yeah. And
Interesting.
so, yeah. And it would be like maybe I am trying to just flex like one muscle or tense one muscle at a time.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and that has some really amazing benefits too. So, long story short, is there's all these different techniques, or I would say tools, that might have even the same outcome, but different tools work well for different people. So, it's about finding the tool that works best for you. If
Yeah.
another tool doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean it's not a good tool. It's just not
Right.
your tool.
And do you like thinking of that? Do you have any sort of recommendation about like how often people should use these tools or how often they should try them before saying it doesn't work? Because I know like I tried meditation and like the first time you do it, you're like, this sucks. I'm not doing it again. But you gotta like do it a few more times to really get into it. So like on what are your like thoughts and recommendations around that?
Well, the first piece is to catch the shoulds there. How often should I do this?
Ah, you got me,
When
Karen.
Um, again, like putting my health coach hat on,
Yeah.
it's whatever's approachable. I mean,
Mm,
more you can do something, the better, but more is better than some. And it's
yeah.
pretty hard. It's too much. I
Yeah.
don't think you can check in with yourself too much,
Yeah.
right? So it's about considering what's approachable. Of
Yeah.
course, if we could daily check in with ourselves. I mean, that is really important. How else do we know when we're tired and need to rest or when we are stiff and want to move?
Yeah.
So I would say daily would be good, or just any time that you feel your body sending signals about something. Like if I
Yeah.
notice I'm really fatigued, then
Mm-hmm.
that might be a chance to give myself a break versus push through.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's always so funny of, yes, like when you are fatigued, but you've got like work to do, how much we think that we are supposed to just keep pushing through. Like we'll get it done faster if we just do that. But really it's like, no, we need to take a break and also see like what's going on and get some movement or fresh air sometimes. Yeah.
It is a hard thing to do. Like, we are definitely in a push culture,
Yeah.
but realistically, you're right. I mean, our energy and our body, it has its limitations. And
Yeah.
do push their body past limitations all the time, but then sometimes after 10 years, they find that their body shuts down. Like, it
Right.
will come back. But yeah, it is hard to allow ourselves to slow down because we are supposed to work at this high gear all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Things always feel like a priority, but I think it can be really important to check in, like, is how important is this really a dire emergency right now?
Right.
Probably not. Most people, it's not. It's
Yeah.
a matter of setting your own boundaries and finding ways to protect
Yeah. And, thinking about that, I love how you called me out on the should because that's one thing I'm trying to help people with is there's nothing that you should do. And like when you do say should, that's like coming from somewhere else. So I'm curious, especially you working with people like through pain management and health coaching, I'm sure a lot of shoulds come up. Of like,
it.
oh, I should be doing this or I should have done this. Yeah, how often do the shoulds come up in your work with people?
I mean, all the time.
Okay.
Everyone
Yeah.
struggles. I struggle with this
Yeah.
all the time. I mean, again, it's like it goes back to that feeling like we need to push something to happen versus allow it to happen. I
Mm.
feel like shoulds come from that. My therapist actually, we had a session on shoulds recently, and we were even talking about type A,
Yeah.
type type B people.
Yeah.
And not really a specific thing, but he was saying that type A folks are more led by shoulds and just boom, just get things done. They're led by their brain versus the other indicators in your body. That's what he was saying. So the
Yeah.
brain is always trying to tell us, it's always trying to like see stressors or attacks and prevent it. So it always has a more negative view on things versus positive. Whereas like our intuition or our heart is where those other things go. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's like shoulds come from the brain, which is always trying to look out for warnings or
Hmm.
bad things that could happen and prevent it.
I'm curious with your own journey, especially going out on your own and having a business. That's a lot of times where people might come up and there might be some shoulds. And how have you kind of experienced that along your journey?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely struggling with shoulds. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been like, there are some people, I mean, there's just networking. You go to a networking thing and it's really nice,
Hmm.
'cause you get to meet all these people, but I guess it can be very easy. Like, you meet someone that's very impressive and they're doing all the things, and it's just like you feel like you should be doing more.
Yeah.
But if you always feel like that, there's never an end to the things that you could do. It's that mindset. If you have that mindset's never happy with it. It's always gonna push for more.
Hmm.
So I guess I've just tried to be aware of it, I mean, that one of those meditations that I told you about, that one where you're just what it literally is you're supposed to imagine yourself laying in a field and you're
Yeah.
looking up at the sky. And every time you have a thought, you imagine yourself writing it on a cloud. You
Okay.
try not to the thought.
Yeah.
You just watch it go across the sky, and then once you have another thought, you just write it on a cloud,
Yeah.
and literally just to help you be aware of your thoughts. Now it's
Hmm.
really impactful for me because I recognize how many shoulds I should myself with,
Yeah.
the negative thoughts that you have, and ultimately, those aren't really constructive
Hmm.
because they could shame, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't know. I just have tried to be really conscious about that and
Yeah.
also to recognize that people are diverse and that's what makes humanity beautiful. We can't all be the same. So let them be really good at social media. That's not,
Right?
no, I know that's not my forte. Doesn't have to be.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like we were all created, to have our own strengths and weaknesses, and that's how we can help each other. And you're totally right. Of like when you're going out to networking events or just like spending a lot of time, especially with other, business owners, there's a lot of comparison that can go on and thinking that we should be doing more or that there's like maybe this other thing might work better, but just kind of having that recognition and being more like conscious of what is it that I actually want and like what do I like and knowing like that's not my lane and then that's okay. So I like that activity too of like the meditation, just like thinking about your thoughts and writing them down because yeah, we have a lot of thoughts. It's just how do we best use them?
Yeah. And I have found that even the most high performing people struggle with these things, with imposter syndrome, with all of
Mhm.
that. That could be why they're so high performing. But then
Yeah.
how do they feel? Do they feel stressed all the time? Like sometimes they do.
Yeah.
You never know what a person is going through. You never do. So I just try to look at life through that lens. Or if I'm
Mhm.
going into something where you do have to kind of like put on a face or whatever, you just try to pump yourself up, you know,
Yeah.
try to feed into your confidence.
Yeah, I love that. And what is something that you really want to leave with people today? Like, what message or what do you want people to remember?
Regardless of whatever might help a person, I feel like we all need any amount of time that's just for us. Even if it's just
Mm,
5 minutes,
yeah.
it can be so helpful, especially if we're overwhelmed or we feel like we don't have any time to ourselves. Whatever that you could do for yourself for just 5 minutes, that can be like so impactful just
Hmm.
to give us some amount of agency over our own time.
Yeah. That's so good because I think we don't put ourselves first enough. And that's the whole point of this podcast is to help people put themselves first. And remember, even 5 minutes can make a difference. But sometimes we don't even think we have 5 minutes because we're so busy or everything's going on. But it's like, yeah, you have 5 minutes and you are worthy to take 5 minutes for yourself and pour into yourself so that you can get back to the rest of the world and be in a better place to do it. What are some of
Yeah.
the things that you like to do to take care of yourself?
I mean, sitting outside, of
Yeah.
course, that's very grounding for me, just like hearing the birds. Even if it is snowing out, I'm going to be outside. Like, I really need to be like just outside so powerful. I do find meditation helpful. I have dogs. I love cuddling them.
Yes.
But truly, if I'm overwhelmed, sometimes I do just need to stop and just shut my eyes for just 5 minutes. And I'll even set a timer.
Love.
Yeah. I'm just trying to accept the things. Like, I'm not a morning person. I've beat myself up for that for a I'm just like, this isn't how I tend to function. I can do it.
Right.
There's a significant portion of my life I was teaching classes and boxing classes and whatever and having clients at 6 a.m. and
Yeah.
just, yeah. So I guess just accepting yourself and letting yourself lean into your own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. I love that. And, I also like to say, like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Like, yeah, just
Yeah.
accepting, where you are. And so I always like to ask, how has being yourself just led to where you are and impacted your success?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, just being a personal trainer or a wellness person, I think that people tend to get an idea of what that person looks like or how they work with people. I
Yeah.
think and to see like a personal trainer is like body focus. What does a person look like? And being very hyper planned and just very structured and
Yeah.
I don't that's just not who I am, and I
Yeah.
think that the world really needs more of that, and
Yeah.
not feeling like you have to do something exactly like someone else does. Helping a person find their own wellness, right?
Yeah.
And just not being afraid to do something that others might think looks goofy. Um,
Yeah.
who cares if it makes you feel better? Like
Right?
dancing is something that's known to treat trauma. Like
Yeah.
we hold trauma in our bodies. and this like somatic therapy that actually helps us to release trauma from our body. But I
Yeah.
feel like it's less people dancing out in public because they're, who knows why? They're afraid of judgment.
Yeah, that is so true. And have
Uh,
you always been confident in yourself as a personal trainer and health coach of this is my way of doing things and I know it's helpful and even though it might not look like the typical thing people imagine?
I mean, I wouldn't. It's been an effort. Like I've definitely had pushback or so I wouldn't say I've definitely not always been a confident person. I was very shy whenever I was younger.
Yeah. What kind of changed for you?
I don't really know. I mean, honestly, I think coming out as a queer person, like
Yeah.
it's not that I was ever against it. I just didn't know, I guess. And I think I was raised in just culture that was like, that's fine, but it's not normal.
Mm.
And I felt like I was a normal kid, so I must not be gay, right?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I think I just, even that belief in of itself is a little bit prejudiced, but it's just, you have to recognize those things. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
so I think that just kind of helped me a lot because, of course, then you're living your own true self versus trying to fit into something that doesn't feel good.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
you're trying to fit into something that doesn't feel like you're definitely not gonna be very confident in that, and you can just feel it. It's a vibe of a person whenever they're feeling good and they're confident. It just emulates off them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then so do you feel like once you really owned who you are, that your life kind of shifted and fell into place or opportunities happened or like or was it just kinda like, "Oh, all
I
right."
the whole can of worms, just life and all of its challenges that it's thrown at me. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a long time of trying to figure it out, but then also balancing some pretty significant life stressors and
Yeah.
so I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, I think I just followed my heart for a while, and even though it didn't really seem to be getting me anywhere for a while, but eventually I suppose it seems like it's paying off now.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad that it's paying off and coming together and that you are living authentically so that you can help your clients and be there for them and have that impact on their lives.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, where can people find you and connect with you and learn more about you?
Thanks for asking. I have a website. It is Ranney, spelled Ranney coaching. From there, like you can fill out an interest form if you're interested in working with me. I do free initial consults. You can talk with me for free and to figure out if I would work for you. I also have Instagram. My handle is Ranney Coaching. And I am on LinkedIn as well. First name Caryn, Caryn, and then last name Ranney.
Awesome.
Yeah. Could I add one kinda last thought?
Of course, yeah.
Hey, so I just remember whenever you came to my studio and we're talking about how this people-pleasing piece could fit
Yeah.
into how pain, right?
Yeah.
So and one of the things that we really landed on was how people-pleasing often leads us to pushing down our own needs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever we are storing those things or something can't come out, it can actually be stored physically. Like we
Yeah.
punch or we might feel pressure in our chest, any number of ways. So I just want to emphasize that kind of connection of how important it is to recognize our body's indicators and to kind of consider, is there something that I'm holding in?
Mhm.
Because from that standpoint, I could write the best personal training prescription ever, but
Yeah.
it's gonna help with pain if pain is coming from holding something in,
Yeah.
allowing to let out or not aware about.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for people who are people pleasers and really are holding things in, shoving their feelings down, and then like that is really adding to how their body's doing. Where do they even start with releasing some of that and freeing themselves of that pain that's there?
I mean, again, it varies person to person, whatever tool works for you. But again, the check-in process, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? A lot of people find journaling really helpful because
Mhm.
it's a way for us to express what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a lot of our thoughts just ping pong around.
Yeah.
Uh, I would say therapy is very helpful too.
Yeah.
Um, and that's like having someone who is a full outsider from whatever you're experiencing that's asking you questions about yourself and being curious. A health coach or a life coach could do that too. They just can't get as deep into like traumas and childhood traumas and things like that. Yeah, whatever method helps you explore yourself. I mean, some people just need a quiet moment in their happy place.
Yeah.
Whatever feeds your spiritual side. And I don't mean that to be religious. I mean, whatever brings purpose to your life or fills you with awe. Go to that place and see what comes up.
Yeah. I love that. So it's just like, just start with something, see what happens.
Yeah. Whatever helps you check in with yourself and
Yeah.
check back into what matters in your life versus all the things that are taking it away.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing all your insights and wisdom.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I loved this conversation because it reminded me that our bodies are always communicating. The real question is, are we listening? I hope today's episode encourages you to pause for just a few moments today and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I need right now? You don't have to solve everything today. You don't have to completely transform your life overnight. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is simply notice what's going on inside of you instead of pushing it away. And if today's conversation made you realize that you've been living with pain, whether it's physical pain, stress that's showing up in your body, or you've simply been pushing through for too long, I encourage you to reach out to Caryn. I love her approach because she doesn't just focus on treating symptoms. She helps people understand what's really going on, reconnect with their bodies, and find practical ways to feel better. If you'd like to learn more about her health coaching or pain management services, I'll have all of her information linked in the show notes, and I hope you check it out. And as always, if this conversation resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd share it with someone who needs the reminder that taking care of themselves isn't selfish, it's necessary. And if you enjoyed today's episode, I hope that you leave a review because it helps more people find this podcast. It's time to stop pushing through every signal your body is trying to send you. It's time to trust yourself enough to listen. It's time to be you.